I'm Mike Huckman at the Bio Buzz Center, where I am pleased to welcome Glen Giovannetti, who is the Global Life Sciences Director at EY. People may remember that as the former Ernst & Young, but now known as EY.
Right.
And EY here at the Bio International Convention has released its 28th annual Beyond Borders report, essentially a yearly snapshot of the state of the biotechnology industry. And Glenn, let me just say here at the outset, when I was a reporter, I loved this report because it was a treasure trove of data and nuggets and information that I could use all year long. So
yeah, we enjoy putting it together, and we actually enjoy being able to look back over time and find trends, so that's a pleasure to do.
And one of the key things I see in it this year is that market cap went up an astronomical 65% last year, pushing now toward $800 billion.
Yeah.
It's a bullish story.
Yeah, the market cap story really, though, is a reflection of strong performance, right? I mean, the majority of that rise was a group of larger biotech companies, what we call commercial leaders in the report, who have really presented or put forth great financial results on the back of some really important product launches for patients. So the market noticed. As a consequence of the market noticing that performance, it really opened up for smaller companies. First for follow-on offerings, and then of course the strongest IPO market we've seen in many, many years, over a decade. And that added a lot of market cap in itself. 40 plus public companies in 2013, a whole another bunch in early 2014. So it has been a really strong story. But
it's still kind of, there's a bullish and a bearish story to be told here as well, because there are certainly some challenges. And among those that your report calls out is number one, drug pricing, and I'm not sure what the answer is going to be there. But the other is R&D productivity and trying to increase the efficiency and to expedite that process as much as possible.
Right, and it's drug pricing. There isn't a single answer to the point you're making. The point we're making is, financing windows come and go, and it's great to have a strong one, and it's great that companies have raised a lot of money in this last year to promote their or continue their R&D. The truth is, though, they're now being tasked not just to prove their product is safe and effective, but also
that it's valuable.
That it's valuable, exactly right, that it matters to patients and that the economy and society should pay for it. And so that taxes companies of all sizes to gather more data during the R&D phase, during the clinical development phase. And so to the latter point, there's really a premium in a capital scarce world on doing R&D more efficiently. On one hand, you got to gather more, so you better do things differently because we really can't afford all the late stage clinical trial failures that we've had.
And your report, interestingly, has a prescriptive element to it. So there are essentially three things you think that companies could begin to do to try to address that particular issue.
Right. And by no means do we think this is the only list, right? But we do point out three approaches that can be taken. One, a greater focus on precision medicine and using biomarkers effectively. Right now that's largely a cancer story, just based on where the science is, but that's starting to change, and that will change, right? And so companies availing themselves of the opportunity to better define the appropriate patient population, therefore shorten the development period, reduce the overall cost, increase probability of success, and importantly have good data for payers is all part of that story. We also talk about adaptive clinical trials, which are gaining traction as an approach, more by the big companies, frankly, than some of the smaller companies.
Changing the protocol and the schema as you go along?
Right, I mean, based on a prediction up front of what you think may happen. So you may think about it as a pre-planned alteration based on an early look at data and how things are going. That could be a futility assessment, you say it's not worth going forward. That could be a change in the protocol, as you say, around dosage or enriching the patient population. It depends what you've structured in that. But the important thing is you get insight earlier. If you think about clinical development as historically been done, you have a big bet for many months, maybe even multiple years, and you get to turn a card over and find out, did you win, did you lose, or more commonly somewhere in the middle, which you've got to decide what to do then. This gives you insight earlier on, so better management decisions, a better story in a way for investors, what kind of risks they're taking on, and it really can tie all the way to a company's financing plans.
Here at the Buzz Center, we've been asking a lot of folks like yourself, what's your assessment of the IPO window now? Is it open? Is it closed? Is it reopening? Is it reclosing? What's going on?
I don't think it's closed. I'm working with and know of many companies in the queue who are optimistic they will be able to get out. I would say it's probably run pretty far into the window if you want to think about it that way. You know, we've done some analysis looking backwards at every window going back to the 80s. And when you take the, you know, any four quarter, the biggest four quarters of the current window, and you look in the succeeding four quarters, you always see the numbers go down by at least half. And part of that, I think, is just the market can only accept so many new issues. So we're long into this one. It's not closed. There'll be companies getting out, but we probably won't see the kind of volumes we saw in the first quarter of this year, for example.
All right, Glen Giovannetti with EY, not E&Y, not Ernst & Young.
Not Ernst & Young, EY.
It's EY. Thanks for joining us here at the BioBuzz Center.
All right, thanks, Mike.